All right. So why don't you go ahead and start off? What's your biggest key? Baltimore overall, offense or defense doesn't matter. Just what's the first thing that jumps out to you about taking on the Ravens?
We got to stop the run. They've got a
Yep.
lot of firepower there in their running
Bingo.
game. They did trade away Hollywood Brown, their best wide receiver. And all they really have to really make up for that is Bateman and Andrews, which are very good receiving options. But that's not how they're going to kill us. They're going to kill us on the ground. Can we contain them? I hope so. We did build a lot of tools on this defense in the offseason, kind of gearing up to stopping the run when it comes to Whitehead and Reed. These are two guys in the secondary that I believe will help a lot when it comes to defending the run.
Mm-hmm.
And we need their speed to hang with guys like Jackson and Dobbins, because these guys will run over us if we can't contain them. So that's going to be key. But the biggest key is really scoring. We need to put them in a position where they can't run the ball.
Yep.
We need to score enough points where they're on their heels and they're forced to do something they don't want to do, which is have to step back and throw the ball 40 times a game. So if we can do that, if we can put them on their heels and get into a shootout with them, I consider that a win.
Yeah, I think so too. I could not agree with you more. First and foremost, stop the run. And that was the biggest issue for the Jets last year. And now we're going to find out really, really, really fast if they improved or not. Because I'm not sure there's a team I'm scared of running the ball more than the Ravens. It's them or the 49ers.
Mm-hmm.
Like those are the two for me, where their run games are so diverse and so talented. Their offensive lines are so good. Their play callers are so good. Their backs are so good. And then you factor in with the Ravens, you got to factor in their quarterback, where he's such a running threat by himself that it's not even so much just about stopping their running backs. You got to stop Lamar too. And he takes another guy into your defense that you have to account for. It's just going to be a really tough task for them defensively, stopping this run game. But you're right. The best way to stop it is to get out to an early lead and to take that option away. If the Ravens can't do what they always do, which is get out to their early lead, let their defense play their defense, and then do ball control with the run game on offense, you're going to have to force Lamar to throw. And I think Lamar is plenty talented, but without Hollywood Brown, a lot is going to be on Rashad Bateman. If the Jets secondary now, with the corners that they have in Sauce Gardner and DJ Reed, if one of the two or both of them can do a good job covering Bateman, now you just got to stop Andrews.
Yeah.
Which easier said than done, of course, but you have other ways to do that. I think this is why you signed Jordan Whitehead, because he can be a guy that can match up on tight ends that are main receiving weapons like that. And he can take away tight ends over the middle or shallow while still being a factor in the run game and being a player in the box that's going to be effective against their run game as well. I think it's going to be a huge game for him. And I'll tell you who else I think it's going to be a huge game for: Quincy Williams, because I think he's your Lamar spy. I would rather, again, just looking at it from this aspect, whoever is spying the quarterback is usually not going to be making plays in coverage because their eyes are going to be on the quarterback, and that's going to be their responsibility. So who do I want covering and who do I want spying? I want someone with speed spying so they can keep up with Lamar Jackson and make having the spy actually worth it. And I would want someone who maybe isn't the best in coverage so that we're not taking one of my best cover guys out of their coverage responsibilities. I would rather have Jordan Whitehead covering Mark Andrews than I would rather have him spying Lamar Jackson. And I would rather have Quincy Williams spying Lamar than I would rather have him covering Andrews. So if it's between those two, I think it makes the most sense for Quincy to be the spy. And I think you can formulate a solid defensive plan to contain them if you can stop the run inside.
I'm going to take a different opinion on that, though. Because when I think of Quincy, I think of him as a heat-seeking missile. He's fired out of a cannon going downhill and wants to annihilate ball carriers. But when you're dealing with a guy like Jackson, this is a guy who is extremely shifty, who's very athletic. And I kind of want somebody a little bit more athletic. that's a little bit more controlled in his attack, spying him. I'm thinking Whitehead. I think Whitehead would be the perfect spy. He has that athleticism and the ability to change direction. And I believe he's done very well against Jackson in the past. I believe I saw some clips of him handling Jackson, or at least another running back with great athleticism. So I'm going to go with Whitehead as my spy.
I could listen. Jordan Whitehead is probably a better spy than Quincy Williams. But do you want Quincy Williams covering Mark Andrews as a result?
Yeah, that's the problem.
That's the problem. That's why I listen. If it's who's the better spy, I'm taking Whitehead. Mm-hmm. Who's the better cover guy? I'm taking Whitehead 100 out of 100 times.
Oh, absolutely.
So lesser of two evils in my eyes is Quincy has the speed, he has the aggression, he has the trigger to where as soon as Lamar gets outside of the tackle box, he's going to be able to come downhill. You're hoping he makes the tackle. You're hoping he wraps up, and you're hoping Lamar doesn't just juke him out of his shoes. But if that is the case, Lamar is just as good at juking other people out of their shoes as anybody else. And what's the point of keeping Whitehead into spy when Lamar isn't going to run if he can just throw to a wide open Andrews?
I hear you. Well, how about this? Maybe these aren't the only two options also.
I don't think they are, but just in a base sense.
Yeah, in a base sense. Because maybe they just bracket Andrews. I mean, they don't really have much other than him and Bateman. So maybe they can just throw extra resources Andrews' way. If we're really expecting Sauce to be the shutdown guy, maybe we put him up against Andrews. Because I actually worry more about Andrews than I do about Bateman. Maybe Reed can handle Bateman by himself and have Sauce cover their best receiver. For expecting him to be that guy that shuts down the number one target. Put him on the number one target.
Yeah, I could see that. My only worry about that is then you're going to have Andrews on Sauce in the run game.
Yeah.
And
although Sauce is pretty good against the run.
He is, but Mark Andrews is a great blocker.
Yeah.
And that would be a tough ask. For Sauce is good against the run and he can get in and make tackles and he's not, worthless in that aspect by any means. But Mark Andrews is a really, really good blocker. He also has 45 pounds on Sauce Gardner. And that's going to make a difference. So here's how I view this defensively. You trust your edge defenders in Carl Lawson and Jermaine Johnson to play contain and to try and hold their point of attack on the edge and set the edge. You pray to whatever God that listens that your interior defensive line doesn't get steamrolled.
Yep. And
that we can have a resurgence from Quinnen Williams and Nathan or Shepard, right? Am I thinking of him?
Yep.
Is he still? Yeah. Shepard takes a leap and Marshall takes a leap and those guys improve and Rankins, improves his run defense somehow. You're hoping for that.
I think might be hoping for a lot.
Oh, you are hoping for a lot. Yeah. First and foremost, listen, they're going to have a much better, easier time stopping the pass and stopping the run. It's not hoping anymore now. You bracket Andrews with Whitehead and whoever else you decide to bracket Andrews with. You let DJ Reed travel with Bateman, and you put Sauce on whoever else is at receiver and blanket them. And hope that you can do enough to keep the Ravens into a run control, dink and dunk team that can't score quick or create explosive plays. Offensively, getting to the other side of the ball, you have to 110%, without a doubt, no discussion. They do not have a chance at winning if they do not do this. Win down the field throwing. You have to win through the air. You're not going to beat the Ravens in a we're bigger than you contest. You're not going to beat the Ravens in a we're going to own the line of scrimmage contest. It's not happening. You have to be able to throw the ball on them, to back their defense off, to open up some of the run game. Get them to focus on the pass, get them to focus on Zach Wilson, get them to focus on the receivers, and back off. Otherwise, I'm telling you, this Ravens defense is just going to have 7, 8, 9 guys at the line of scrimmage on every play and say, go for it. You're not going to win. So I think this game has, forget anything we just talked about defensively. If Zach Wilson doesn't perform, they don't have a shot.
Yeah, but that's we could say that about every game. It's all going to come down to how Zach performs, because again, this team is built to score points and to play with a lead. Yep. So if he doesn't do that, then it kind of kisses any hope goodbye. But him performing well against the secondary is also a tough task. With the likes of Marcus Peters, Marlon Humphrey.
I completely freaking forgot they have
Chuck Clark.
Peters. Oh my!
And now they have Marcus Williams and Kyle Hamilton as well.
Kyle Hamilton. Goodness gracious!
So that secondary is rough. So I hope that they can pass the ball. But I think they really need to work on that run game. Work against that front line. They do have Calais Campbell, which is definitely a tough task. They just drafted Travis Jones. But the linebackers are maybe on the smaller side. So if we can get a little tough there, maybe we can do something.
Yeah, that's going to be the question. The Ravens are the type of team where they just have mammoth people on the interior so that they can have smaller linebackers behind them to run around and shoot gaps. So that makes sense from that aspect for them. For the Jets, it's going to need the offensive line is going to be tested. I think they'll hold up well enough. I don't think it's going to be a complete just stomping. I think the Jets offensive line will be good enough to hold up, get some push in the run game and create some pockets for Zach Wilson, but they're not going to win every matchup. It's not going to be, an easy domination by any stretch of the imagination.
No.
And so that's why for me offensively, if you don't, like we've said for so long, if you don't put any fear in this defense, you won't win. And the way you put fear in a defense is with speed and explosive plays. So coming out early, I know the run game is important. I know that's what you're going to want to do. I might come out and empty first play of the game and just say, we're throwing. We're not scared of your secondary. We're not scared of your defense. We're not just going to try and play ball control and be smart. We be the aggressive team. Be the aggressor. There's something I say about football in general that every single game I watch, every single team I watch, it's always something that gets into my head. Who is dictating the game? And when you hear about what that means, what I mean by who is dictating the game, who is reacting and who is attacking. So if you have a defense like the 85 Bears defense, for instance, where that defense was so good, so strong, so punishing, and so aggressive that you knew that they were going to be blitzing, they were going to be sending extra heat, they were going to be trying to put pressure on quarterbacks and get home and an aggressive as a way if they can. Because of that, offenses couldn't just run their normal game plan and say, okay, we're just going to run what we're going to run and we're going to beat them doing that. It didn't work. They had to adjust their game plan, specifically saying, how do we stop this Bears defense from taking over? That is the Bears defense dictating the game. The offense can no longer do what their game plan is. They can no longer stick to their bread and butter. They have to adjust to take advantage of what the defense is deciding. Who is taking control of the game? Zach Wilson needs to take control of this game. Bar none. It has to be a situation where the Ravens defense is looking around going, crap, this guy's good. We can't, this isn't, rookie quarterback anymore. We can't just think that we're going to blanket people up or take away some time and he'll make a mistake. We got to really be on it. We got to respect this guy. If they don't, there's no shot. So the Jets haven't had an offense that has dictated games in decades, quite literally decades. They have the talent now. They have the skill talent now. They can dictate a game like we were saying before the draft when they needed another speed guy and now they got Garrett Wilson. They can dictate a defense by saying, we're going to get in our 12 personnel set. We're going to have our 2 speed freaks on the outside. And if you load the box, we're throwing over your head. And if you back off, we're running the ball. That is an offense dictating the game. If the Jets offense cannot dictate the game, this is going to be a very long week 1.